and welcome to the Beauty is Found Within podcast, hosted by the beautiful Pippa Leslie. Pippa will be speaking about hers, others' spiritual stories, perspectives, and journeys, so we can in turn find the right match of resonance that speaks to our heart and souls. Each week, she will be sharing topics around spirituality, manifestation, mindset, self-love, and personal growth, as well as personal interviews with our fellow soul family and friends.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Beauty is Found Within podcast. Back with another interview today, and today I have a special lady on. Her name is Katie Storey, and she is a voice and confidence coach. And the special thing is, Katie is actually my coach at the moment, so I'm really, really pleased to have her on the show today. Hi Katie.
Hi Pip, how are you?
I'm really well, how are you?
Really good, thank you. I'm really excited to actually be here today and just share some insights with you all.
I can't wait to chat to you today. I'm really intrigued because you're my coach and I kind of know you on that business, a little bit personal side, but it's good to chat to you more today about you and how you got on your journey and just obviously your insight for the listeners today. So tell me a little bit about your journey and how you got into spirituality as well.
Okay, so we're going to go all the way back to about 5 years ago. So I spent 13 years working as a broadcast journalist in the UK. So I lived in London for a bit. I worked at Channel 4. I moved back up to the Northeast and I've worked for places like BBC and lots of radio stations nationally and locally as well. So in that time, I had the privilege of interviewing and meeting royalty, senior politicians, celebrities, sporting stars, you name it. I've probably interviewed them all. And it got to a point in my stage of my life where I had my second son, and I decided that I needed some more freedom because journalists, it's not all what it's cracked up to be. It sounds like a glittering career, and it is, and at times, but it was really, really draining, especially my energy. If we had a story that would break, I'd be on it for days, and until the story was actually finished, I could not go home. So for the times of like spending those precious moments with a newborn, it just wasn't feasible anymore, and I really wanted to create some more freedom in my life and a bit more balance. I was all go, 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 and I never really had time to slow down. And that's what I really, really craved. And having an opportunity to set up on my own, having a gap in the market to help women to really feel confident in themselves was a turning point for me, because I used to always see and hear these professional ladies and even the most like successful celebrities that I've interviewed, they would all creep up and they would hate the sound of their own voice. They didn't know how to position themselves. They were basically told what to say for interviews. And I realized that, you are a sort of a leading position in the celebrity world or in the media world, and yet you are given a false interpretation of what people perceive of you. And it was then when even I interviewed just a normal entrepreneur. She was she worked for a bank, and she was the top person in the bank, and she had to be told what to say. She hated speaking. She didn't have any confidence, and she was the top CEO of that company. And it just surprised me how lack of skill she had in speaking and in herself to really believe in what she believed in. And she did not want to run conferences. She didn't want to stand up in front of stage and talk. And I knew there was a gap in the market, and that's why I dove straight in. And fast forward nearly 4.5 years, and that's it. It's like I'm living my dream.
I love that, and how like you helped me to stand out from the crowd, which I've always done anyway, and I really want to just be authentic with my message. The worst thing for me would be to have someone tell me what to say, because then it's not actually coming from the trueness of yourself. So like that really, like, I feel for those like women and men who have to literally just stage what they say because it isn't coming from their own soul. So again, it's that you have that beauty of working with people and actually getting them to connect with their message and what they actually want to say, because that's what life's about right now, isn't it? It's about, standing in your truth, sharing your message, because we all have this divine mission. And if we're not doing that, it's not coming from an authentic place.
For sure. And I think one of my skills is really, I used it as a journalist as well, was to get people to open up to me and actually have like just share exactly how they feel, what their struggles are, and be really realistic with me. And I'm like not about sugarcoating things. I really get to the core of their struggles, and for yourself, like I'm that type of person where I'll just guide you and give you all of the skills that you need to really just own your truth, stand in for what you say, and don't be afraid what other people are going to think of you. And if you're different, embrace your difference. We all try to conform to society to all fit in, but yet the beauty of that is when we don't fit in, we stand out. And that's how I always, encourage you to just stand for what you believe in and never, ever think about what other people think of you, what people will perceive of you, because you have to start believing in yourself first before you can then help others.
That is so true, because again, with me, I believe in my message, and if it's belief in all of it, it's belief in yourself, it's belief in the universe, it's belief in everything is divine timing. That is something that's coming up for me today a lot, is everyone is kind of in that mindset this year because of COVID that, when's this going to end? When can I go on holiday? It's the when and the how. And the message I really wanted to send out today was about letting go of outcome, because I think a lot of us are we do have that little bit of control in us where we want to know when this is going to turn up, how is this going to turn up, and it is about just letting it go and knowing that the universe has a plan for you. And it's like, example, the way you and I met, Katie, was just through online, as I meet a lot of my friends right now. But again, that was divine timing, because what I needed right then was to switch up my business in a sense of my message and finding my niche, which you helped me do. So it is about letting the universe guide you and letting flowing with the universe as well. So how did you connect to your spirituality? Did you always know from a young age, or did you kind of have a spiritual awakening when you were older?
My mum has always been interested in clairvoyance, and she always believed herself that she had a gift. So from really, really, like, I remember like 3-4 years old, she used to have like these tarot cards, and she would also have her friend come round, and they would have like these crystals. And I just thought they were just the most amazing thing as a kid. I used to sit and play with them, and she used to I remember my mum having readings and doing readings herself, and she used to always say to me that should always trust my gut and trust the fire in my belly, and in any decision that I would make. From a very young age, I always knew that there was something else out there that I was so intrigued about. And I used to like make my own spells as a kid. I used to get those like spell books. I was so fascinated into like spirituality and witchery, into everything. I just found it like a magical world that I could escape to. And as I've got older, I've really tapped into that. So I lost touch when I was a journalist. I used to tap in and tap out and read books, but really when I started my own entrepreneurship journey, it was then things really took a hold. And I totally believe that everything happens for a reason, and the people that you meet are meant to come into and out of your life as they should be. And some things will always stick with you, and people will come in, leave a message, and then go. And always remember that it's there for a reason. And when I remember reading, going back years, The Secret. That really started me up. And it was like, oh, this is really interesting about manifestation, about the law of attraction. And I watched the film, and I just was hooked. I've read so many books about the law of attraction, manifestation. And now I'm at a stage where I'm like wanting to open up my own intuition a bit further. And I really trust in I have a gift that I can actually tap into people's thoughts and their energies and feelings and get that. And that's how I work with clients. I work with you. I feel that when we first met, we had that instant connection energy wise, and I just knew that we would be a really good fit together. And as time's gone on, then it's proved to be a really good friendship. And you just, when you meet somebody, you just know that you're meant to meet that person. Then I think, that for me is like, I have to start trusting. I need to learn to start trusting my own intuition a bit more. And it's so interesting that yesterday I had a reading for me, And the cards that came up have been the cards that I've been picking for the last month, that have always been popping up. And it's always been the Starseed from Rebecca Campbell's the Oracle card book deck. And it's all about conserving your energy. And I'm really open. So I take people's energy, but then I always feel drained at times. And I really feel that I need to conserve my energy more. That's keep coming up. And yesterday there was a card about transformation. And at this time with COVID, I have changed my business model around as well. And I feel like now is the time that I'm going through that change, that transformation in my personal life as well. Like, you know, as well as business, everything's just starting to now feel more aligned, as we shall say.
You're the same as me, Katie, because I'm trying to, you know, figure that out as well, because I give my energy so freely to others, and I do need to conserve it, because I think, you know, as well as I do, there are parts of my month, especially with my cycle, which I've figured out the week that I'm actually due on my period is always the week where I'm drained, where I'm, you know, I get migraines, I'm really run down. But me being Pip, I would always put so much pressure on myself to, you know, keep going. I can't miss out. I can't, you know, I want to show up for my clients. I want to show up for my friends. And actually, I'm better off not, because one, they're going to be there either way. Yeah. And two, I'm just going to, you know, exhaust myself, which I have done a few times, and you've seen that a few times as well. So again, it is that. I think it is a collective too as well for us spiritual beings. You know, we do tend to, I think it's moving from being a people pleaser, because I do feel like I'm not in that kind of energy anymore, but in a sense I'm still so giving, I'm still so kind. So again, it's working on, where do I get to the next boundary with that? Because, you know, as you know, my values, Katie, are about service to others. You know, that from Latsu, you know, they're my big values: service to others, kindness, gentleness, and reverence for all life. And, you know, the service to others, I always struggle with this one. So I'm always listening to Wayne, and I'm always trying to ask for guidance, you know, and to say, well, where do you stop with service to others? Because it's because we want to give and give and give and give. You know, when do we go, okay, well, now's enough? Because you got to keep filling your cup up. I think that's kind of the key, isn't it? It's the balance as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I am the same. I will give and open up. I would literally do anything. I'm a very trusting person, and I've only recently learnt to hone in and stop people pleasing, because we've all done it. We're all guilty of it at times. And now, like, as I keep on thinking about Archangel Michael, like, he keeps on coming up with my meditations, and it's all about protection. And I think protecting myself and really trying to think about you as an individual and your values, your energy, what you perceive is really important. And you will reach a stage of burnout if you don't. And I have been there. I've been there the first year in business. I was going to quit, completely pack it all in. I was really struggling financially, but also mentally. I was working all these days. Then I really lost focus of why I started the business. So I would spend all the time in the business, not the time with the kids. And it would cause like eruptions in the family, like arguments with my husband. And I just had to just take a break. And I took 6 months out to reassess and get back to what my why, and all about, you know, my family and the reasons why we want to do what I do. We love traveling, and we didn't have that. And it was only until I took time out, and I take time out regularly now. I always do. Every few months, I'll take a week off. And I think it's always right that you just need to do that. So if you're feeling that you can't do it, just do it.
Yeah, it's like when you're at the most resistance, it's probably because you need to be the less resistant. Because again, with me, it was that my physical body, we've got to remember as well, we are spiritual beings having this human experience. So our physical body is going to feel all the emotions, it's going to feel the pain, it's going to feel all this, you know, all these feelings. But then sometimes you have to really listen to the gut, you know, because like you said, listening to that gut and trusting that, that's one thing I really need to start doing more of, is that your physical body will be screaming at you, if, you know, making you tired, making you overeat, making you get migraines, you know, things like that. And that is where, when you connect to your physical body on a daily basis, you know what your body's trying to tell you. And it's So obviously we're all so different in how we kind of take time out and how we all fill our cup up. So what are kind of the things you do, Katie, when you take time out? How do you fill your cup?
I go out in nature. So we love, as a family anyway, we love walking. So the Lake District for me means and always will hold a special place. And for us, just getting out and going for like a 3 mile or a 5 mile hike with the kids. We're near water because I'm a Cancer star sign. I have to be near water. I always feel at home. That's why I live on the coast and I go to the beach regularly because that just for me, it's a safe place. It's where even when at my darkest times, I would go out in nature, go somewhere that's got a stream or water and sit and just think about what's happening. I always do meditations. And even if it's just 5 minute meditations in the morning and some breath work, if I don't do that, and I will literally, I can see how if I don't do that, I change. So my moods change. I am a completely different person. And I realize, I need to get back to me. I need that 5 minutes in the morning just to meditate, to have my thoughts. It really does have a massive effect on me. And I always think, that's just my time. I think being a busy mum as well, having that 5 minutes in the morning is just, it gives me so much, centers me for the day. It relaxes me, it calms me, and it sets my intention up for what I want to achieve. So even if there was people who are really skeptical, because my family at first thought I was so woo doing meditations, like they just didn't get it. But now they do. Now they see the difference. If I don't do my inner work, they see a difference in me. And I really, truly believe that it has a massive effect on me and my state of mind, especially.
Yeah, and it's funny because I bet 5 minutes being a mum feels like an hour at times. Like it's just that time out for you.
Totally. 5 minutes can feel 5 hours. So I always encourage anybody, just take 5 minutes out in the morning or nighttime or throughout the day, even when you're doing making the tea or making a brew or something, then just taking that time to really just take some deep breaths in, really focus on your intentions, how you're feeling. I always talk about feelings because feelings are so valuable and we really need to hone in on how we feel at each point throughout the day, because we'll feel lots of different emotions as we go through our life but on a daily basis, how we think and how we feel and act really has an important part to play in how your day goes. So if you're having a really bad day, you will feel really emotional, stressed, anxious, and whatever you're thinking will also be the same. So it's really hard to switch up, but just taking those 5 minutes out to center, take some more deep breaths, can really help you to then reframe your day and make your day a bit better.
I love that. So I know we've touched on it slightly, but what has been one of your main challenges, Katie, and on the way in this business life and being a busy entrepreneurial mum, and how did you overcome the challenges?
I would say the first year was really, really, really tough. Just to figure it out for me, I was used to a busy newsroom. I was the hustle and bustle, working all the time, to then going to my own office in my house, which at the time it was just my bedroom. And I would sit there and be so lonely. The kids would be at nursery and school, or at my mother-in-law's, and I was so lonely. I really, really struggled because going from one environment to another, I just couldn't focus. I didn't know what steps to take. I was so desperate to get clients in, and I think I learned myself that I was teaching people about messaging and positioning. I wasn't doing that, and I hold my hands up because I've been there. And when you put out desperate energy and you're trying to chase that next bit of money, you just repel everything. You're given exactly the opposite. And it wasn't until I took those 6 months out that I really assessed my business model, looked at it, because I wasn't treating it as a business. I was treating it as, I'll just do a couple of hours here and there. And I wasn't really reaching out to anybody. My messaging was all over the place. I didn't have a proper system, no structure. I didn't know how to run a business, and I gradually learned to get some help and figure out how to actually run a business. And I'm really grateful for the help that I got then, and I always continue to invest in some upskilling and a coach, whatever that is. Just go and learn something on a daily basis listen to a podcast, listen to this one. You find some tools and tips you can pick up from anywhere. It doesn't have to cost anything, but I think you have to constantly keep growing and learning, and that will help you to get out of any struggles that you've got.
Yeah, and I feel like as well, when I ask people on the podcast about the challenges, I always go back to the same message that when you have challenges come up, it doesn't mean, it doesn't have to be a struggle. I really truly believe that your challenges are there to help you grow, and we all know that. But I think it's seeing challenges as an opportunity. It's seeing challenges, as, well, I'll learn from this. And again, it could be a challenge of, say, losing a loved one or a divorce or, something really traumatic. But then we know that, I always look at it in this way, I lost my nan to cancer 3 years ago, and it's coming up to the 3-year anniversary. And, sometimes I forget actually, like, how traumatic that was, and watching her die in 3 months. And I was I'm very strong, and I'm still very spiritual then. And looking back, and I think, wow, like, it went so fast. But then I looked at it as a fact where I can then help someone maybe get through that as well. It could be a client that I meet. It could just be a friend. I could end up meeting someone on my travels who's going through the same thing. And again, I always say this, with the challenges that come up, a lot of us go through similar challenges. So it's good to empower each other and, ask how you overcome them, and then we can help, all help each other get through it. And that's what I love about how women are coming together more now to help each other grow.
100%. I mean, I was so close to my nana. She basically helped to bring me up, and she died 5 years ago, and we shared the same bedroom for about 20 years. So we were best buddies. And when she passed away, I was literally, I really, really struggled for months, because I felt like I lost, obviously, my nana, but my best friend, and like everything we shared together was just, I felt like just it gone. But she reached at a stage, she was 90 when she died. So she had a wonderful life. And she always will come up in conversations, no matter who I meet, because she had a lasting impact on me. And my husband always says, you always talk about, because she's called Florrie, I always talk about Florrie. Like, she'll always come up. I tell my kids about her. And the times when I need some advice, she will just like pop in. I feel like she's just like talking to me, or she'll be just saying like, you shouldn't be doing that, or like, this is what you should be doing, like, go for it. I will just ask her, like, and I'm more than happy to, like, the kids know me now, I'll be like, right, Nana, like, where do I need to go? Like, am I on the right path? And I'll always see a feather, I'll ask for something, and I know she'll always give me a sign. And for me, that gives me a really sense of, like, comfort that she's always there with me. And even though it's been 5 years, and it's 5 years gone, I just think, these people that have a lasting impact on us, like our grandparents, really do mean a lot. You don't really appreciate people until they've gone. And
and the thing is that it's just a physical body, isn't it? That's not here anymore. And again, your nana will probably be one of your spirit guides, which is beautiful. And it's again, this is like another episode. It's like all about losing loved ones, and the subject around death. I was chatting to a client yesterday about she works in the NHS, and she works with dying patients. And every time we chat, it's always a really powerful chat. And and I got her to actually like write down about how she feels about death. Even the word death, I just hate that word. And I just said, even if you listen to this now, even the word death makes me cringe, but maybe just for a couple of days after listen to this episode, I want you to just go away and just think, how do you perceive death? Like, I know this wasn't the actual topic we want to talk about, but clearly it's supposed to be spoke about. I always go with the flow. I just feel like, how do you perceive that, and go away? And because you'll see it differently to how I see it, Katie. But again, we see it as like, a transformation. It's not like, I'm never going to see them again. We know that their spirit is still around, and that their soul carries on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you can really sense that, especially when her name or whatever that loved one, their names always will pop up, and there will always be a situation where you will think of them. And I really think that's them saying, I'm still here. Like, and it's really good. They want to be heard as well. And for me, whenever I speak about her, I always, like, even now, I feel like a sense like she's literally sitting next to me.
Yeah, and she probably is. It's such an amazing feeling though. Like, if you don't believe in that kind of stuff, just think what you're missing out on. Like, you think your loved ones are always around you, but if you don't believe and you don't open your heart and your mind to it, you're not going to see it. It's again like the shift and the spiritual awakenings I've had. If I wasn't open and present, I wouldn't have seen hardly any of them. So it's having that belief that life goes on after that. And they are around you, and they could be your spirit guides, or they could just be, a little guardian angel for you. And it's such a beautiful way of looking at life after they've passed on too.
100%. I mean, I know kids always have that sense of like, because they're more open to perceive things. And when my firstborn son, Sam, he used to always describe this old lady. It was like exactly like my nana. And he used to say, I've been taught to Flo. And now she's called Florrie. And I'd be like, oh my God. So this is like when he was like 3. And I really feel like kids are really acceptable to that, and he still says, oh yeah, my friend Flo. And I always think, I just feel like, oh, that's so lovely. I get that really sense of like, that's just what kids are like. You know what I mean? To have that openness.
And Wayne Dyer talks about this a lot. And I think one of his books that he written was called Memories of Heaven. And if anyone's interested in this topic, if you've got young children, actually he talks about how children are the closest to the universe and to God because they've just come from that place, if that makes sense, because they've just been born. So I remember Wayne, it really made me laugh. He was talking about this at one of his events, and it just made me laugh out loud because I can just imagine, because I just love him so much. He said at parties, you don't find him sat with all the adults, reminiscing. He said he sat on the floor with all the kids, asking them, you've seen God, you've seen the universe, what does it look like? Tell me more, I know you know. And it made me laugh because he said imaginary friends and things like that, all kids have them, and a lot of parents dismiss it thinking it's them, being a little bit crazy, but it's not. I believe it's actually their imaginary friend is in their spirit guide or their loved ones. And again, like when I do have children, I will actually like set a table for that imaginary friend. I'll maybe have like a blow up bed for that imaginary friend because I want to, encourage that. Because again, it's children's mind that's open, and the more it stays open, the more that they'll keep seeing that, and it'll get stronger and stronger as they grow up. So I think the book was called Memories of Heaven, and it's where kids have, say for example, a couple have had a miscarriage and they try for a baby again. Apparently the new baby remembers being the old baby when they got a little bit older, which is just gives me goosebumps. But they actually can remember their past lives because they'll talk about like such a body in a past life, and I just think that's fascinating.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is just, it does. It's so fascinating, and it just gets you thinking, doesn't it?
There's so much more to life than even now. I just know there's more to learn and there's more to see. But before we finish, Katie, I wanted to ask a question. Anyone who's listening who struggles with their confidence in speaking, their confidence in their message, or just, even people who actually don't like the sound of their voice, because I know you're listening, I know you've had that before, because I used to be the same. I would hate sending voice notes. I would hate to be on video because I hated my voice. But now I'm doing lives. I love sending voice notes. I've got a podcast so I can just talk and talk and talk. So anyone who's listening who has them struggles, what would be your main advice for them going forward?
The first thing I want you to think about is, what if I don't reach, or if I don't do a podcast, if I don't do a video, if I don't do that next thing that it's been putting you off, what is the worst going to happen? What's the worst going to happen? Like, what's going to happen? You're going to be missing out on opportunities that are there for you. And I always think, just go for it. Just have the inner ability to just try it and step and see what it's like. Because even if it's your first Facebook Live or your Instagram Live or whatever it is, a story, the first time you've done it is amazing and should be celebrated. And then after the second one, it gets easier. The one after time after that, it gets much easier. But also, if you're afraid of your own voice, why don't you just record it and listen back to see and get used to how you sound? That is one thing that a lot of people struggle with. They don't like their own sound of their voice because they never really listen to how they sound, and how what you say and how you think you sound is completely different to how other people will hear you. Because especially through a podcast like this, our voice is actually condensed and our sound waves are compressed. So we all sound a little bit different anyway. But as long as you get used to actually hearing how you sound, will give you the confidence for when you do that show up on that video, you do that voice note to that client or whatever it is. And actually you think, you know what? I sound brilliant. You know, we all have our voice. We should use it to our advantage. You only get one voice, and once it's gone, it's gone. So, you know, really think about how you can install confidence. So do your affirmations, breath work, but also just little steps, and just the baby steps will lead you to get to where you want to be. I would never go jump in head first. Just plan, go ahead for it and see what happens. What is the worst going to happen?
I love that. And again, your voice is your most powerful tool. You know, it really is. It's one of those senses that is, I think it is the most powerful. And again, I agree with you, Katie. You know, if you're not, say you're a coach and you really want to make an impact in the world, you know, not showing up on that live or not doing those stories, think about the people who would miss out seeing that amazing message. And again, one of my clients, she's putting off writing a book at the moment, and she's an article for a magazine. And I said the exact same words to her. I said, well, just think that woman or man who picks up that magazine that time, if your article's not in there, think about the people that you're going to miss out on helping. 100%. So I always say, make it about them, not you. When you take the limelight off yourself, you know, again, that helps. And just think of at the end of it, I always used to think when I got on stage or I did an event, I'd always think how I'm going to feel at the end of it when I've said thank you for coming or whatever it is. Think of how amazing you're going to feel and focus on that, and just think, you know, like you said, Katie, what is the worst that can happen, really?
Exactly. And if I'm just going to end on one thing, I would just say, if you can say that you've impacted at least just one person, then you've made that person change. You know, you've really had an impact in their life. For me, it's always, if I can just help one client to really overcome her fears, I feel amazing. I know that I'm here to do that job, and that's my gift. And it has a ripple effect. Once you impact one person, they will then learn your skills and then impact on others. So it is a massive ripple effect. One person is all you need to impact the world.
I love that. That's always been my mission, to help at least one person or animal a day. And it's that ripple effect just by being you. It's, you know, again, it's not about impacting the masses, you know, because that again can be overwhelming. It's just about impacting that one person a day, and just think small steps, think small, because when you go too big, that's when the overwhelm steps in. But I just want to say thank you to the listeners. And how can they find you on social media, Katie? Just let them know, and I can put the links in the show notes as well.
Brilliant. So you can find me on Instagram at story_media, or just type in on Facebook as well. Instagram is normally where I hang out though.
Yeah, cool. And thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you, especially on a podcast instead of just on a client call. It's been lovely.
I know, I love it. No, I just think it's amazing. Just having a general chat and just sharing a little bit more insight into learning about each other it's been amazing.
Yeah, and thank you for being you, and thank you for being my coach.
Thank you. Well, you know, I always will love you and support you whatever you do.
Ditto. Well, thank you so much to everyone listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Just tag me and Katie on Instagram. Give us your greatest takeaways. If you have any questions, please reach out to us, but we'd love to hear your feedback on this episode. Again, you'll find Katie's links in the show notes. But wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a beautiful day, and we'll chat to you soon. Bye for now.